Welcome to Surviving the Side Hustle, the podcast for high performers who've gone all in, but still feeling a little stuck. I'm your host, Rob Tracy, coach, speaker, and creator of the Prime Performance Process. If you're a solopreneur, small business owner, or just launched your side hustle and you're tired of grinding with no momentum, this is for you. Every week, we bring you guests that have broke the code, generated momentum, and finally got unstuck. And we're diving into their stories, their struggles, and their secrets to generating massive momentum in both their personal and professional lives. We don't do fluff here. We do frameworks, real talk, and share the kind of insights that get you unstuck for good. Welcome, and let's get rolling. But before we dive in, I gotta remind you, if you're overwhelmed, spinning your wheels, or just tired of hustling without the results, it's time for a Prime Performance Strategy session. In this free call, we'll zoom out on your life and business, identify the real reason you're feeling stuck, and build a game plan to help you reclaim your confidence, energy, and gain some clarity so you can get back to doing what you set out to do. Lead, grow, and thrive. This isn't surface level coaching. It's a system built on resilience, intentionality, clarity, and alignment. So head over to survivingthesidehustle.com/free call to grab your spot today. Again, that's survivingthesidehustle.com/free call. Let's get going and help you look good, feel good, and do great things. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. I'm really excited because today we've got Melinda Jackson on, and she's interesting because she's got over a decade of international PR experience. Melinda's taken the untraditional approach to public relations, branding, and influence marketing. Having worked on Grammy, Emmy, and PRSA award-winning campaigns, Melinda has a proven track record of helping clients grow their businesses and careers. She not only serves traditional PR clients, but also music and entertainment as well. Melinda, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm glad we got this squared up, and I'm excited to dive into our conversation. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to kind of dive in because I was looking at your bio and I wanted to get connected with you a little bit. And I see that you're from North Carolina.
Yeah. So born and raised in a town on the edge of eastern North Carolina, 4,000 people. And I currently live in Raleigh, North Carolina. So about 45 minutes away from where I grew up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love Raleigh. I was down there a couple years ago, actually, for Ed Milet's book launch. And that was really cool. If you know who Ed Milet is, it was exciting.
I don't, but I'll Google.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit about how'd you get to where you're at currently?
Yeah. So, like I said, I grew up in a small town in eastern North Carolina. My parents are entrepreneurs, and from a long line of farm families. Everyone on every side of my family has been in the farming industry for literally hundreds of years. And when I graduated college, I moved to Los Angeles. I knew I wanted to work in entertainment, and my parents didn't want me to do that. So I felt like PR was a good major because to them it felt safe. But I knew I was going to move to LA when I graduated. So I did, and they cut me off. They were like, nope, we don't want you to move. You should work for us. And I said, nope, that's not my path. So I left everything I knew and moved to LA in 2009 with $500, no job. I knew no one. And I made it work. I was there for 7 years and moved back to North Carolina because I got really burned out just working in entertainment and working 24/7 and making like $2 a day. So moved back to North Carolina, worked at an agency, and just realized there was so much more that I could do for my clients on my own. So I started my company, and it was really just out of a place of not being able to find another job. And I literally started freelancing on the side and accidentally started my company 6 years ago.
Love that. Accidentally starting the business. That's incredible. Before we dive in too deep, would you mind just defining public relations for me?
Absolutely. No one ever knows what it is. So for me, I really just see public relations as how does a client relate to the public? Like, how are you showing up to the public? Is it media interviews, podcast interviews? Is it brand collaborations with other brands or influencer relations? Like, what are we doing in the public? And what is that reaction? So for me, that's what PR is. I'm sure there's some very official, wonderful explanation to it, but that's kind of how I dumb it down.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of like how you're interacting with the world, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So talk to me about when you decided to launch your own business. What was it kind of like in the early stage days? Because you said you were working with an agency, you had a couple clients. I'm guessing they kind of came with you, and how did you just kind of get it rolling? Did you just kind of like boom, jump start?
Yeah. So it's funny. I was just having a conversation with somebody who was in the similar position that I was like 10 years ago. And they were at an agency and they're like, how do I get out of this rat race? And at that point, I had been in PR for 10 years and I was just really burned out from the agency life because you're working 24/7. You're not making a lot of money. The higher ups, the owners of the agency, they're the ones making the money. You're the one that's actually doing the work. And I just saw so many inconsistencies and I was just really frustrated and burned out from that hustle. So I had a couple people that would come to me and ask if our agency would work with them. And I knew that they didn't have a big enough budget to work with the agency, or I just really liked them too much to want to subject them to that toxic culture. So I went to my bosses and I was like, hey, I have like one or two people, they really need PR. They're not going to have the budget that you want. And I don't think you would want to work with them anyway. Do you mind if I freelance for them and their budget's only $500? And they're like, oh, yeah, God, we would never touch that. It's fine. And so that really gave me the confidence to leave a very toxic environment and environment that was not good for me. So um, when I left, I had two freelance clients, and I think it ended up being like $2,000. And at the time, my rent was probably like 1,000 or $1,200. So I'm like, okay, as long as I can pay my rent and have a little bit of extra money, we're good. And within a week or two of just like posting, like I put in my 2 weeks notice and posting on LinkedIn and Facebook saying, hey, I'm quitting my job. Um, if anybody knows anybody that needs some freelance PR right now, just let me know. I had enough clients to like kind of cover my salary, and I was freelancing for that agency until they found somebody else. And I had really great terms for myself. They let me work from home. I didn't have to go to meetings. I didn't have to do anything. Um, but I only had to freelance for them for 2 months until I felt really comfortable. And I think I ended up like two timesing my income that year.
Wow, nice. Yeah, usually it's pretty terrifying for individuals to kind of like drop off or dump their normal 9 to 5 with a to dive into what they want to be doing. And because I know work with a lot of individuals who've got different side hustles and they're just turning their hobbies into the side hustle where they're starting to make a little bit of money. And now they get to the point where like, oh, can I turn this into like full blown business? And it can be terrifying because they're not really sure. But it sounds like you kind of dove right in feet like head first and like just kind of like started tackling it from there. So that's awesome. I love the confidence and the grit you have and the resilience too, especially
Yeah.
from the going out to California too. That was pretty wild. So what was that actually like? Because I feel like you hear stories about that and it's like, yeah, actually I had a fallback plan, blah, blah, blah. And actually I had a lot way more than just 20 bucks in my pocket. But how did you actually make it work with just 500 bucks?
So I literally like I moved the day after Christmas. So I graduated in December 2009. You had your winter break or whatever. We had Christmas. And I kept telling my parents, I'm moving to LA the day after Christmas. I'm moving to LA. And they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. They did not believe me. And we're from a very tight knit Southern conservative Christian family. And they're like, you're not doing that. You're going to work for us. We've built this life for you. And they had opened a restaurant that me and my brother were going to run together. We're 2 years apart. We're going to run it together. And we were franchisees until we had signed a contract for 3 restaurants in 3 years. And I was like, I don't want to do it. I just opened the one. I'm like, I don't want to fry chicken. I'm not going to say the restaurant, but I'm like, I'm not going to fry chicken. Like I'm good. So I left. I packed up everything I could in my fit in my car. I had uh, some gift cards from Christmas. I had $500 because the person I was going to be staying with for a little bit, that was my part of the rent. And then I had one paycheck that was coming our way. So I had done two planning trips and did a lot of internship interviews. No one would hire me because I was from some random college in North Carolina they had never heard of. So I did three unpaid internships at once. I got a ton of part-time jobs. I was coaching cheerleading at a random school in the Valley. I was working at Forever 21, the largest one in the country, which was a nightmare. I was tray passing at events. I was doing everything I could, like literally working 24/7 just to try to get enough experience to get hired on full time somewhere. And it took me a year and a half to get a full-time job. And it was hard. I do not know how I did it. I would sleep like 3, 4 hours a night and just have to like get up. And one of my part-time jobs was at like a stock like trading company. So I had to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning because we're in LA and that's when the stock market opened on the East Coast. So I had to get there. I would work until like, I don't know, 1 o'clock. And then I would go to an internship and work unpaid. And then that night I would go and like trade pass in an event or whatever. So I really did hustle and it was really hard. And I truly do not know how I survived, with the exception of free food at events. I went to every event I could and just got free food and free like shampoo and stuff that I would get going to like an OK magazine party. Um, yeah, it was wild. And looking back at that, I'm just like, who were you, girl? Because now if I don't get 10 hours of sleep, I'm not functioning.
Well, it's good though because you grow more so through the challenges than you do in the celebration. So you putting all that work in and really tackling all those different obstacles really set the tone for your firm and everything you've got now. So I imagine that carries over into the work ethic that you showing up and delivering for a lot of your clients and delivering product, which is, I guess, like attention, right?
Yeah.
Helping your
Yeah.
clients get attention.
Yeah. And I'm really scrappy with my work. I always say I don't do traditional PR. I'm not sending a press release and hoping that it works. I am going to do whatever I can to try to get you press. Like one client, um, we had her walk in some New York Fashion Week shows. Okay, well that's a moment. That's something that we can talk about. That's something that we can use from then on. That's not traditional PR. But that's the kind of stuff that I look for and try to do for clients, especially if we're not getting them the kind of PR that they normally would want. We have to make it work in some way. And I never promise clients, I'm going to get you this. I'm going to get you in Forbes. I'm going to do whatever. I just promise I'm going to do the best I fucking can to get you where you need to be. That's all. That's all I promise.
I imagine your world is a lot of relationship building and being able to connect and stay in touch and communicate with a lot of different people. Um, can you explain how did you do that when you kind of came back, especially from like a small town? Like, how did you get yourself into connections with other people?
Yeah. So it was honestly easier for me to do that in LA than it was when I came back. So in LA, it's such a transient city and it's changing over all the time. So I would just go to as much stuff as I could and meet people. And I always say I collect people everywhere I go. So I just start talking to them. And I'm this girl with this accent. And they're like, where are you from? Who are you? And, I would connect. And I think when you are authentic, that helps a lot. And I've never met a stranger in my life. So I'm very much that extroverted personality. So that helps a ton. Um, so I had those people and I had people I could call on if I needed anything. And I never really had a mentor, but I had a lot of people in my pocket that I could say, hey, look, I cannot get arrested for this client. Can you like either cover them or point me to somebody that can? And so that would help a lot. When I moved back to North Carolina, I didn't have the same kind of clients. And that was really hard for me, and for me, it was a big identity crisis almost because I was this girl that worked in entertainment. I had a Grammy. I had all this stuff. I was at every award show all the time. Now I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. Nobody gives a shit. No one cares because I didn't go to that school and I wasn't in that sorority. They didn't care about me. And so you have to create those relationships all over again. And even now, I feel like I have contacts that I can't use because I just don't have entertainment clients anymore. So you have to, reinvent the wheel a lot.
Wow. Yeah, but there you go with that resilience again. You figuring out ways to make it work and how to make it happen still.
Mhm.
But I'm interested to hear a little bit on what it is that you really are, because we just talked on how you're helping people get more attention, kind of get out there, connecting with the public. Do you see that people are using your services less, or like as an industry less, because of social media? Do you see a lot of people like, oh, I don't need help with that because I'm just going to dive in with social media instead? Or is social media part of what you do?
I don't offer social media, but if anything, I think they will gain traction on social media and think, "Oh shit, I gotta maximize this. I have to do something to, to get exposure even more." And so that's where PR comes in. Right now, we're seeing a lot of people wanting to be positioned as a thought leader in whatever their industry is. That's the new thing. I just sent out a Substack on this. I just sent out a LinkedIn post about it. But journalists care less about the brand right now. They want the brand story. They want the founder story. And so that has been really great for me because I can tap back in to the entertainment experience because I'm selling a person at the end of the day. So I think to take it all back, it kind of goes hand in hand with social media. Or if they're not seeing traction on social media, they're like, okay, I got to switch it up. Let's figure something else out.
Okay, okay. And so you're saying that they're not looking for the brand, they're looking for like the founder story.
Mhm.
Is that something that you kind of help with your clients kind of creating and building?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people do not get their brand story right or their founder story right. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I have this skincare line. Here it is." It's like, okay, well, why'd you create it? Because I wanted to help people. Okay, you wanted to help people, but why? And then you just dig and dig and dig, and then you find out, oh, they had an issue with their skin, and they never wanted anybody to feel the way they felt. So then they created this thing. So digging into that story can really change the game for people and help you stand out. And so the more details you have, the more unique you are, the more it's easier to get you press instead of just saying, hey, here's this product. Okay, well, everyone has that. What's the actual story?
Mm, nice. So I guess it's different brands and different people probably looking for different things too,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
how do you know like which client kind of needs which, or what if someone's coming to you and they're like, oh, I need to do this, and you're kind of like, oh, actually, I think you'd benefit more from doing X, Y, and Z instead.
Yeah, that happens all the time. People definitely don't know what they actually need. And I turn down clients a lot. People will say, okay, I need PR. Okay, well, your brand is not together. You don't even have a website. None of your social media is consistent. Get all that stuff fixed, get everything cohesive. Then we'll talk about PR. So that happens a lot. I'm not afraid to turn people away when it comes to that.
Which is good because then that shows how like you're dialed in for what you can actually do and deliver. So you said people typically or don't have a lot of that stuff kind of together. So when is it time for somebody to need PR, I guess I should say?
I always say one of the biggest factors is maybe you've gotten a little bit of press yourself locally and you need somebody to come in and help you when it feels like too much for you. When you're maybe getting requests and you're like, I don't know how to fulfill this. Or you're like, okay, I got a little bit of press. Let's keep it going. But also just if you have something to promote and you actually have a story there, you can benefit from press. You don't necessarily need a publicist, but you can benefit from press. So say you have a store opening. Okay, you can get local press and it's very easy. If you don't get local press, nobody's going to know about it. And you only are going to have to rely on social media. And that can be a vacuum because no one, if unless they follow you, they're probably not going to see it. Unless your followers share it, they're not going to see it. So why not add that extra layer of press? Um, I also think that people again, I just said it, but like people think they might need press, but they don't because they might not have anything to promote. They might just really love their product, but there's nothing about it that stands out. And maybe they don't have their stuff together yet. They don't have that cohesive brand. They don't have that messaging, those talking points, which I definitely can help with. But if you don't have a budget, if you don't have things in place so you can sustain press, then you probably don't need somebody coming in and helping you.
Hmm. I want to bring it back a little more to you and the things that you're kind of, and like you in the business yourself. As you so you started your business, what was it, 5 years ago?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Okay. And now kind of growing from there, you had a couple clients and then a couple more clients came on. And now where are you bringing your entire company to? What are you trying to grow or build up to? Is it to a agency that's big enough where you're just going to kind of exit out and then move on to some new project, or you looking to kind of grow it into something different?
I definitely don't think I could ever exit because I'm too much of a control freak. Kind of, and I have a small team. I have freelancers that I pull. I have interns. I don't have any full-time clients because, again, I'm a control freak. But my kind of goal is to get to a place where I'm doing the high level consulting and not pitching to the press all day. So I'm going into corporate offices and maybe consulting their marketing teams on their PR strategy, because PR and marketing are different. And most marketers don't understand PR. They don't necessarily know how to find those talking points and reach out to the press or do that kind of research. They're more worried about other things and analytics and all that fun stuff that I cannot do. So ultimately, I would love to do that more high level, and honestly charge higher retainers and do less work.
Mm.
But I probably could do that now with 15 years, 16 years into PR. But, I have to get over my own kind of fear around charging more, uh, trying to expect more.
Yo, what's up? Sorry for interrupting. It's me, Rob. If you've been listening and thinking, man, I just know I'm capable of so much more, but something's just really not clicking, well, I've got something for you. It's called the Prime Performance Personality Quiz. And in just a few minutes, you'll uncover what's actually slowing you down. So, whether it's a mindset block, energy drain, or a lack of clarity, this quiz is going to give you specific insights to help you build momentum again. Again, this quiz is free, fast, and honestly, freakishly accurate. So take it now over at survivingthesidehustle.com/quiz and stop spinning, start winning today. So I want to continue on with a little bit about your story here, because you said that you went through a pretty serious burnout phase, and I was in one of those situations too, so I can kind of relate to that. And I know a lot of clients that I work with and people that I can get connected with who are kind of jiving into the solopreneur kind of world. They take on a lot because they have their typical job, then they're also taking on their hobby that became a new job, and now they're juggling two jobs, family, etc. And burnout is pretty real. But people also wear that kind of like a badge of honor, where they're like, yeah, no, I just got to keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding. Can you share a little bit about what your experience was with the burnout, and how did you, I guess, even know that it started creeping on? Because I got stuck in a burnout phase for like 3 years because I was like a person who just wore it like a badge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that hustle culture is hard. So I think I first experienced burnout when I was in Los Angeles, and it's kind of the reason why I left. So I had been in an agency for 5 years, and um it was kind of a sinking ship, and so I held on too long and then finally realized I need to switch things up and find another agency to work at. So I was finally in my dream agency, and it was just a really toxic department. It was a great agency, but toxic department, really bad leadership. She's no longer with the company, and the company no longer exists. So I can say all that stuff. But um, I I realized I was burned out when um, I truly felt like I could not turn off. So I was in a drive-through car wash, and I had slid my seat all the way back, and I had my work computer on my lap, and I was doing work, and it was a Saturday, and I was like, what am I doing? Like this, nothing, we're not curing cancer here. This is entertainment PR. Like this is stupid. Like literally, what am I doing? And then another time I'm in a like 9 o'clock movie with one of my friends, and I have a limo driver for one of my clients calling me, and I'm like, not, I don't need to be doing this. This is stupid. So, um, I was also in a place where my mental health was really, really bad. And I'm someone that already struggles with anxiety and depression. And I mean, I was having suicidal ideations. I could not keep food down. I would go into my office and just have a panic attack. And when those things are happening, you're going to screw up your job. And then when you screw up, you get in trouble. And then it's a whole cycle. And so that kept happening. And I went to HR and I was reporting everything to HR that was happening. And I was being honest, like, look, I know I screwed up, but this is toxic. And they were like, she doesn't want you here anymore. And I was like, good, I don't want to be there anymore. So it was like mutual. We agreed to part ways. And I was like, fuck it, I'm moving to North Carolina. And so I took a month. I packed up, like I sold everything. I packed up and I drove back across the country. And then I worked at the other agency. And then burned out happened again. I think I still never healed from the first one. And it really hit me because I got kidney stones as a 30-year-old woman. And that's kind of unheard of. Normally it's old men that get kidney stones. And even my doctor was like, I've never had a patient that was a female that was this young. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. And my body was shutting down again. And I had to get on depression medication. I had to get kidney surgery. They tried to tell me to delay my kidney surgery so we could finish a client project. So I delayed it. Like, it was so stupid. So that's why I was just like, none of this is working. I have to work for myself. And I still struggle with it sometimes. But I think the biggest thing for me is realizing that working for myself, I don't have to be at my desk 9 to 5. I have email on my phone. I can be at the pool for an hour at lunch. I can still check my email. It's okay. My therapist says it's okay if you send 2 emails in a day. That's still work.
Yeah, I just interviewed somebody recently, who's a well-renowned in like the burnout world, and he said that those who dive deep into burnout and they get really far into it, they're exponentially more likely to experience it again in the future. And a lot of that becomes because of the failure to set those boundaries and stick to those. I'm glad that you're kind of now giving yourself that freedom to kind of take the breather and move away and still send a few emails, but staying because it's tough when you work for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. And one thing I'm kind of going through in this season is realizing, like, if a client has not paid their invoice, me working harder is not going to make them pay that invoice. Me working harder and putting in the hours does not mean I'm going to make more money. They still haven't paid. So I don't need to do the work. And that's been the biggest thing for me right now. And one thing I will say on burnout is, like, they always say, have your self-care routine, have your routine to get you out of it or whatever. But sometimes you reach a point of burnout where that's just the self-soothing does not work anymore. No amount of journaling, meditating, anything is going to regulate your nervous system. You have to remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah. And it's tough to kind of get the ball rolling again too when you after you do remove yourself from there. So how did you build that momentum after that second burnout from the other agency?
I think I just got so much confidence from um, going out on my own and realizing, like, holy shit, like, people trust me and people like me and they want to work with me. The it's funny because, again, my conservative Christian parents, when I quit my job, were like, okay, move, you got to move in with us. You got to break your lease and move in with us. And I was like, you guys own your own businesses. Why don't you trust me? Like, you should trust me. You should know that I know how to do this. They were like, no, no, no. I was like, just watch, just watch. And so, um, tax time came around and my dad saw how much money I made my first year owning my own business. And he was like, I'm never going to say anything to you again. Like, you did it. Like, I'm never questioning you again. And that gave me so much confidence. And I was like, I got this. And then COVID hit 2 years after I started my company. And I made more money than I ever made in COVID because I was helping people transition their businesses and their messaging and stuff. And I was like, okay, I can do this.
That's awesome. Glad to hear that. That's really good. Good bounce back kind of story there. But I'm interested so because you're entertainment, you're back to North Carolina. Who are the individuals that you work with? Are you working with a lot of corporate? Because you mentioned that before. Or is it small businesses or is it individual entrepreneurs? Like who do you work with most?
It's all over the place. So right now, kind of my bread and butter is positioning people as thought leaders. That's what people want. So that can be, like, I have biotech companies that I work with where I'm doing their thought leadership and just like any press releases about, clinical trials or anything that they're doing. So the more boring PR, but then also the fun stuff. And then I have like a lot of female entrepreneurs where I'm helping them tell their story and helping them get connected with the influencers. And I have clients all over the world. Bosnia, South Africa, Portugal. I don't even have any clients in North Carolina, which is kind of crazy.
So if someone's starting out and they're like, okay, now it's time for me to kind of get into PR and start working on that, what is the typical like or traditional, I guess, route? Like, is there kind of like a process or like a stepping stones or something, or do you just immediately like boom, you're like on TV doing this and doing that, or what's it kind of look like?
It definitely depends on who you are and what you're doing, and like honestly, whatever the timing is. You could be, the most famous person in the world, but if it's not the right timing, somebody's not going to pick you up. I had a client that was on Good Morning America, and she got bumps because Joe Biden came on, and so it's like shit. I mean, I'm glad like it was when they were releasing the hostages in Hamas. It's like, okay, I'm glad the hostages got released, but like I needed this. Like
Yeah.
what? So you never know. But what I always tell people is try PR yourself first. It does not hurt me to tell people how to do PR. I don't care. It's fine. Like if you think you need PR, try it yourself first. Reach out to your local media and snowball it. And then if it feels overwhelming, if it feels like too much, then call somebody else in, call in a publicist, and they can help you kind of take it to the next level. But it doesn't hurt to just try to do it yourself at first.
So so you said calling like your local places, is it pretty much just that simple? Like just
Literally.
Googling local? Like
Yeah.
if
So yeah, like figure out what's your local news station. Who do you like? What do you watch? Go to their website. There's a contact form. There's normally like editor at abc whatever.com, producer at like their contact information 9 times out of 10 is on the website. Reach out to them on social media. Don't be annoying, but just say, hey, I have this product that I'm launching. I'm a local female founder. I would love to chat with you if you're interested. They'll talk to you. They always want those hyper local stories, and like they need more stories all the time. So reach out, like just try.
and then what's it look like when it is becoming overwhelming? Do you need to be reaching out like to meet like five different places or like so how do I know if I'm doing it myself and I'm connecting with a bunch of these people? How do I know it's time for me to call you?
Yeah. Um, I just always say when it gets too overwhelming. So like if they're reaching out, if they're reaching back out to you and saying, okay, I need a press release, a media kit, X, Y, and Z, and can you do blah blah blah? Then if you don't know how to do any of that, you probably need somebody to help you. Sometimes you can just do it yourself or just say, look, I don't know, but can you walk me through this? Um, but yeah, or if you're getting a ton of media requests and you're just like, I don't know how to do any of this, that's when you probably need somebody else.
Mm. And so, because you said you work with people all over the world, so from your side point, like how like I guess you're doing all that work where you're kind of diving in and trying to figure out like who's in the local areas and how do you get connected and who to set who up with what interviews kind of thing.
Yeah. Um, a lot of my international clients want press in the US. So, one thing that I've done, especially I have a client in Portugal, it's a skincare line. We were doing events all over the country in the US. So I was like helping connect her with people to do pop up events with, helping figure out wholesale lists for her so she could try to get in stores. That's not traditional PR, but it was kind of a means to an end. So I could actually create some traction. But yeah, I mean, I had a client in the UK. We did the same thing. It's easier for me if it's English speaking countries, obviously. But yeah, I will make it work. I will figure it out.
Awesome, awesome. Well, so if someone's listening here today, where do they go to get in touch with you if they feel like it's about time for me to kind of get involved, or if they're just interested in maybe some more tips for themselves to kind of get started on their own journey?
Yeah, so everything is at melindajacksonpr.com. It's literally my name with PR at the end. I bought a lot of other domain names that all point to that, but that's just the easiest one. And I do consulting calls. So if somebody is like, look, I want to dip my toe in, I want to try to figure out myself, I am so happy to help. And on the consulting calls, I'll give them a media list, I'll give them talking points, I'll write a pitch for them and tell them literally how to do it. Because it doesn't hurt me to do that. At the end of the day, I just want to help people.
Wow. So then how do they schedule one of those consulting calls?
just reach out on my website. We can do a consulting call. I also have VIP days, and that's more in depth. So that would be like an all-day Zoom, or we could do it in person, depending on where they're at. And in those, I really just help them really dive into their strategy. And by the end of it, they'll have multiple media lists, multiple talking point documents. I do LinkedIn strategy as well. Just a lot of stuff. So everything's at melindajacksonpr.com.
Nice, nice. And there's a description for more into what the VIP
Yep.
days are like on there.
Everything.
And so what would be the quickest route to kind of getting things done? Is it to just like dive into the VIP day, or is it like one-on-one calls with you, or like if someone's like, I need this now, I want to get going, like what's the
Yeah.
best strategy?
Just have them reach out. And then normally I'll get on like a 15-minute call just to see, okay, what do they actually need? Because a lot of times, like I said, they'll think they need a full PR strategy. And I'm like, you can do this yourself. Like, let's just get on a 30-minute call. I got you. And sometimes I'm either even just like, here's a media list. Like, I can't be bothered. Just do it. So yeah, just it just depends, but we'll get on a 15-minute call.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, Melinda, I know you're super busy. You've got a lot of things going on, so I want to be courteous of your time. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience and insights. And this has been super fun and insightful for me because this is a whole world that I didn't know about and need to learn more about. So I appreciate it. But before I let you go, I got to ask you, what would be your number one piece of advice for somebody who's kind of launching and moving going forward and they want to get into that next level, especially in terms of PR? What would be your advice to them?
Number one advice I have is two things. One, start posting on LinkedIn. If you post once a week on LinkedIn, you'll automatically be in the top 1% of users because people just lurk. So just post. I don't care if it's a picture of your dog, post. You will get in front of people. Second piece of advice is get on a podcast because it's the fastest growing piece of media right now. And instead of getting a 3-minute clip on your local TV station, you can be in somebody's ears for 30 minutes. So get on some podcasts.
Boom. Love it. Very helpful. Thank you
Come on
so
this
much.
podcast.
Yeah. Melinda, again, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I really enjoy it and looking forward to following a little bit more and hopefully talking with you soon.
Okay, thank you.
And that's it for this episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. If you found this valuable, the best way to support the show is to rate and review on Apple or Spotify. It helps get the show in front of more driven individuals just like you, and helps them discover the tools to get unstuck, break through burnout, and build something real. And you can always connect deeper with me, our guests, or grab free resources at survivingthesidehustle.com/Rob. Whether it's a strategy call, the Prime Performance Personality Quiz, some of our products, or just to check out our free content library. Connect with us over at survivingthesidehustle.com/Rob. And hey, remember this, you weren't meant to just grind. You were built to grow. So stay conscious, stay committed, and keep showing up. Peace, guys.